Hello and welcome to Hampton Roads Business Live. I'm here today with Justin Matthews from Air Specialty in Norfolk. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you.
Glad you could be with us here today. Air Specialty is no new business. I mean, you've been around a long time in Norfolk. Could you tell us a little bit about the history? You're an air conditioning and heating business, but tell us a little bit about the history of Air Specialty.
Sure. Air Specialty's been around going on almost 37 years now.
Wow.
It's a family business, so my father is the owner. The lady who does the accounting, Chris, had my name on a plaque when I was born, kind of stuff. I've been doing heating and air conditioning personally since I was 14 years old. And my dad shoved me in every nasty crawl space and hot attic before he'd let me do anything else.
Kind of like baptism by fire.
It was. It absolutely was. He told me I was going to Randy University. That's my dad's name, Randy. So I started from picking up trash, and I've done every job within the company at this point.
Right. Well, that makes a good entrepreneur, though. Have you always wanted to have a business of your own? I mean, I know you got started early there, but
I did. I don't necessarily think that it was. I always necessarily wanted to own my own business. I was too invested in the one I was currently working in. It's been kind of a natural evolution. I've got a really, really good relationship with my dad, and we've got a core group of really, really good people that work with us that have been with us for a long time.
Oh, that's great.
Key employees, we've got guys, one gentleman that's one of our install managers has been with us almost 23 years. Another guy, 13, another one, 11.
Well, that speaks highly for the company.
Yeah, they're gluttons for punishment, obviously.
That's another way to look at it. So tell me, you obviously do heating and air conditioning systems.
That's right.
Is it one particular brand or different brands?
That's a good question. Actually, people think with heating and air conditioning that it's kind of like cars. You know, if you own a Chevrolet, you're supposed to take it to the Chevrolet dealer, and if you own a Honda, you go to the Honda dealer. Heating and air conditioning's not that way. To answer your question directly, we represent, service, and sell all brands that are available. The brands that we use the most are York, American Standard, and Train, which is the exact same product line. They come down the same assembly line. They're just badged differently. Mitsubishi MiniSplit systems. But we, Janitrol and Goodman, there are a number of them that we use, and we service all of them.
I was going to say you offer repair service too, so you not only install new systems, but you also maintain old ones.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's interesting. There's three kind of separate facets of heating and air conditioning. One is, as you pointed out, installation. The other is service. And the third and the most important is maintenance and making sure everybody takes their car in every 3,000 miles expecting longevity and reliability and fuel economy. And people buy heating and air conditioning and wait for it to fail. You know, there's no booklet that says, hey, I bought a new house. I really should have my heating and AC serviced twice a year to make sure that I don't have any kind of premature
And it's
failures.
a big part too. I mean, it keeps you comfortable all year long. So you would think that, but I'm guilty of that as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It happens, and it's
does,
the same thing. And we do residential and light commercial. So just like
Right.
Office spaces and office buildings, we take care of all the heating and air conditioning because you have the same kind of concerns. You don't want to be without air conditioning when it's 95 degrees outside.
Right.
It leads to
and I know when we were talking, have talked in the past, you mentioned something to me, or I saw the stats on how much waste there is in ductwork. I was amazed at how much waste there is, and that's one of the things you all do. You build your own ductwork.
That's right.
And but there's a lot of waste can be had in ductwork, and most people don't realize that a great deal of what they're doing, I guess, I forgot what the percentages were, but I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
But that there's a energy loss. You're actually heating or cooling the outside a great deal of the time.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Department of Energy, the one you're thinking of is the Department of Energy suggests if your duct system is just average, you're losing a third of the air the day that duct system is installed. And it doesn't get any better than that. It only gets worse, right?
Right. Well, I know from experience that's true.
Yeah, exactly. And having done your heating and air conditioning as well gives us a little bit of an interesting relationship and you an interesting perspective on that. But, knowing that one of my favorite seminar speakers calls it delivering dead dinosaurs. When you have duct leakage in a crawl space, you're going to condition the crawl space and you're also going to suck dirty air into the ductwork and very effectively
Which
deliver
any
it in the
ants or
house.
anything down there would appreciate, but it doesn't help you very much.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Same thing with the attic space.
Right.
So there's a huge opportunity. If you think about that, if you can get that third of the air that you're wasting back into the system and put it back in the house, you can save a lot of money on utilities and be a lot more comfortable. So,
Right. Now, when you go out to, say someone's interested in getting a quote from Air Specialty, when you go out, I'm going to ask this, I mean, I already know because I've had you out.
Sure.
But when you go out to meet with someone, you just don't go out and ask them a few questions and that's it. I mean, you go out and take a look at the property, you look at their house, you look at their needs and everything, correct?
That is correct. Anybody that comes out from Air Specialty goes through a series of questions, probing questions, asking things like, does anybody have any allergies in the house? Are there any hot and cold spots? To make sure that we address all the issues we need to address while we're there. It'd be a shame to get new heating and air conditioning. The statistics in our industry are very poor for people coming out and doing work on your heating and AC, but then finding out that you're losing half the air to duct leakage. Why didn't they tell you that when they were there putting in a new system?
Right, so you check the system they presently have.
That's correct.
And then you can, I mean, I know from experience that I had a house that had additions added to it over the years.
Right.
And so what they were doing was they would put in the system, and the system was sized for this area, and then they would just add on ductwork, which wasn't right for the system.
That's right.
Then they put in another system, but it really wasn't matched either, and then they added another addition.
Right.
And it was a mismatch all up under the house,
right.
as you called it, a racetrack under there.
That's right.
It was ridiculous, and it was hot and cold everywhere,
Right.
and very inefficient, and you couldn't control anything.
That's right.
And so that was my particular problem, but I bet you see that a lot over the years.
I was just going to say, unfortunately, it's very common.
Right.
One of the things that a lot of heating and air conditioning companies, unfortunately, most heating and air conditioning companies don't do, is make sure they get the full gamut of information when they're there. One of the things that separates us is the amount of time that we try to spend with you doing our due diligence on the front end to make sure that you end up happy on the back end. There's one of the things that we always do is what's referred to as a load calculation, which means that we measure the square footage of the home or the building, we calculate the color of the roof, the kind of insulation that's in it, the direction that it faces, all of those things get entered into a computer program that tells us how to actually size your heating and AC properly. Mm-hmm. That combined with properly sized ductwork, which we've already talked about leaky ductwork, but we haven't talked about improperly sized ductwork, which is another thing that we find oftentimes.
Right.
And we can kind of find a lot of that stuff out by visual inspection, but also by asking those questions. The questions that we ask you when we're there are designed to reveal issues that you don't even know you have, and to make sure that we can service, at least educate you to what the issues are.
So it boils down to you're a problem solver.
Yeah.
And people have these problems and they don't know why they have them, but they have them, and it's not really their job to know why.
That's
your job.
That's exactly right.
But I know that when people are considering air conditioning companies, I know personally I can highly recommend you. Because I've had it done.
Right, thank you.
I had my house done. I had my home office done, which we'll talk about in a second, because it's a different story.
Right.
But I can say that I had like 5 different air conditioning companies come out. It was overkill, I know, but it is an expensive proposition.
Absolutely.
But I can tell you that they all don't do the same thing when they come out.
They don't.
I mean, they really don't. I mean, from the extreme of not checking anything
That's it.
to some close to what you were doing too.
Right.
So there is a wide range there. So people should be aware of that. All right. So the typical installation, I had one floor. It was large
long
layout,
sure.
long, and all. But you told me that you'd have it done, and you gave me a 3-day window that you'd be working in.
Right.
And it was done in 3 days.
Right.
I was surprised at how efficient that you all really were. I mean, how fast that it got done.
Right.
And it got done, with cooperation from us. I mean, because we had 2 dogs, we had to negotiate and everything. But it was done correctly, and while I'm recommending, let me just say that I've had work people come over, I had an exterminator come over, I had a handyman come over, and actually I've had two electrician, a handyman, and an exterminator. All three of them, when they hit that attic and they saw the which we'll talk about in a second, the split ductwork and things,
right,
and they said, wow, that is a fantastic layout. And then the next question one of them says, who do you know? Because that is really a first class job.
Right,
and so that's impressive and I didn't ask them what they think.
Sure.
They just say, who did that?
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive.
That's
so
very
anyway,
nice.
I got to tell you, it was a good job.
Thank you.
And we've been enjoying it for a year.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the split system.
Okay.
And I can tell you that when you first mentioned it, you said there's part of your house you don't use so much, and there's another part you live in most of the time, and then there's a home office, which was actually an addition that was added to it. And it was a garage, actually. It was converted to a room. All right, well, you never can heat and cool those properly. I mean, with the rest of the house. It's always either hot, too hot, or too cold. All right, so you said, I recommend that we do a split system for the two sides of the house.
Right. And
I'm thinking, yeah, right, and that's really going to work. I mean, you just turn the thermostat down on one side and the other side, like I'm imagining the air just flowing through, and it's really not, it's just a way to increase my price of my thing.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. But no.
If for good reason,
yeah. So anyway, but what I find is that's not true. I mean, it does work.
Yeah.
And there is a definite difference when you cross that line, you know it, that you've crossed that line of the temperature difference, but it saves a great deal of money.
It does.
If you're not using it, there's no point in doing it. And then on the other end is the MiniSplit, which we'll talk about in a second. But can you talk about on the split system, what that is, or why people would want to consider that? I think I probably just said, but
well, yeah, no, I think you said it accurately. That means you were paying attention when we were talking before, so that's good news.
I had reason to pay attention.
That's true. That's right. So what happens oftentimes is exactly what you said. You've got a house, you had kids, you no longer have kids in the house, you have 4 bedrooms you're not using. In your case, you have a whole section of a house that is not really being utilized, but you have a kitchen and a den and a living room area that you're in almost all the time, and your master bedroom and another little spare bedroom, but the rest of the house doesn't get used. It represents 1,500, 1,200 square foot, somewhere thereabouts, that isn't getting utilized. Right. Why heat and cool that to the same temperature as the rest of the house?
Right.
Why should you spend your money on utilities, especially with the increasing cost of utilities? Why should you spend your money on that? One of the things that people don't recognize about heating and air conditioning is that unlike many other investments, there is an expectation you're going to get a return on that investment. So if you spend an additional $1,000 on efficiency, you're going to get that $1,000 back in this pocket, and then every day after that, you're going to be saving money. So, zoning is what we refer to, what you're referring to, zoning systems. We do that for rooms over the garages, homes that are 2 stories but only have one system. It's always a different temperature on the second floor. There's, it's always over or under conditioned depending on the time of the year.
Right.
I grew up in a room over the garage, and they're hard to condition to the same temperature as the rest of the house.
It's like my home office.
It's exactly like your home office. It's got more exterior exposure than any other place. So it's like a different planet. It heats and cools at a completely different rate.
Right.
And then, we're talking about your home office. We refer to those as mini splits.
Right, and that's what I was going to get into, Nexus mini splits, because at first I thought about mini splits all over the house.
Right.
And you recommended not doing that.
Right.
And you gave me reasons why not, because of expense.
Well,
it could be expensive, but it wasn't quite the way I should go, and you felt that the other way would be better.
And sometimes it is the way to go. Mini splits in the whole house could be a viable option. It just wasn't, it's not what I thought was the best answer for you and your family.
Right. But the home office thing definitely was.
Absolutely.
Because that office stays whatever temperature I want it, and I don't have to worry about the rest of the heating and cranking up the heater, the air conditioning for the whole house, just for this one room.
Exactly.
And I've got computers and things running in it and everything. So it's been very beneficial for me.
Yeah.
And it's actually work, and it's super quiet. You don't even know it's on.
Yeah, I love that about that product line.
Yeah, yeah, and no duct work.
Right.
It's just a really nice unit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't remember it's on, you totally forget.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, very very nice. Okay, so you have a long time in business,
Right.
and you have you do the installations and the repairs.
Right.
And repairs is something that people should have, would you say, twice a year as far as a maintenance contract?
Maintenance, yeah. Repairs are kind of independent from maintenance.
Okay, so you have a maintenance contract.
That's exactly right. We call it a comfort assured agreement. So it's a way for us to make sure that your system is working like it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
The goal with heating and air conditioning is to try to eliminate premature failures. And all failures are inconvenient,
Right.
no matter what.
Right.
Nobody likes to know. You can have a beautiful home, but if it's 95 degrees in your home, you're not going to be in there very long. You're going to go to a very small hotel room,
Right,
Right. At least I know that's where my wife would suggest I take her. So
You suggest?
yeah.
Strongly
She
suggest.
might point at me while she suggests. So, the fact of the matter is that with the maintenance contracts, what we do is we come out twice a year and we check the system over. It's like getting a report card. We clean the coils, we blow out drain lines, we check all the electrical components, and we give you a report and tell you exactly what's going on. It's all about the maintenance of cleaning the coils, blowing the drain lines out is to eliminate premature failures, and your efficiency slowly degrades over time. So by cleaning the coils, we maintain the efficiency of the unit that you have now bought or the one that was currently there. It's as important to have maintenance, if not more important, when you've got an older system than it is when you have a newer one.
Right.
Because if you have an older system, you need to clean the coils and blow the drain lines out to try to keep it going. If you don't, then it will cause premature failures. And heating and AC never fails when it's 75 degrees outside and you can open the windows.
No. It's always the worst day of the year.
It is. It's always 100 degrees outside or, 35 degrees on Christmas Eve.
And of course, when you call, everybody else is experiencing
That's
problems.
exactly right.
Yeah, so-
That's exactly right. It happens in bunches like bananas for sure.
Right. So I understand that you have an offer that you would like to extend, a limited time offer that you'd like to extend for people that might be watching this.
Absolutely.
So you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. We're running currently a promotion for there's a $500 off any system, 14 SEER or higher. I can go into a little detail about what that is, but
Okay.
14 SEER is just an efficiency rating. So basically it's $500 off of a system. Now, in conjunction with that, we have a couple of financing offers that we're using as promotions right now. We've got a 25-month same as cash, and we've got a 56 months for 5.9%. So we oftentimes are getting different financing deals that are available. We have other financing programs that are available to us. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that we focused on currently. So.
Okay. Well, the details of those will be at the bottom of the page, and it might be a good idea just to call Air Specialty to check on what's what the latest deal is that
Sure.
you have.
Sure.
Do you have, let's say, for someone who's thinking about going into business, do you have could you give me like 3 things that you think would be good advice for someone considering, not the air conditioning business, because I understand that's full.
It's absolutely. It's a terrible idea to go into heating and air conditioning in Southside Hampton Roads. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, but if they were going to any business,
Right.
as a business person,
Right. Yeah, I think, there are a couple of things. There are probably a lot more than 3. Over the years, I've learned, watching my father and also doing it myself at this point, I've learned that you can't always listen to what everybody else says, number one. If you have a passion about something, I guess I digress. Don't go into business for anything that you're not passionate about.
right?
Because if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to live. You won't last. You have to have extreme passion. In my particular case, I'm a passionate. You hit the nail on the head earlier when you said you're a problem solver, and I'm passionate about solving people's problems, whether it's got to do with indoor air quality. I've had the benefit of helping people whose children have asthma be able to breathe better in their homes. People with cystic fibrosis who have major upper respiratory problems who can't even stay in their home and have to be hospitalized if they don't have clean air. we get to design systems like that. I love designing systems like that. I love being able to split your house up and you come out and go, it actually works. I didn't think it was going to work, but it actually works.
I was taking your word for it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Hadn't lied to me about anything else.
That's right.
But it did work.
That's it. So, if I focus on, what I think is most important in business, it's you got to be passionate, you got to be diligent, and you gotta surround yourself with good people. There's no two ways about it. You can't last 37 years, as you know, in business without surrounding yourself with good people. Without the people around us, there's just no way we could do it.
Right. Well, I hear that. I've been doing these interviews, and I hear passion from almost everybody about that.
Funny?
And, well, I know it's true.
It is.
Because
firsthand.
It's like I had one this morning that we were interviewing, and she was saying, well, you won't last, when the times get tough, or if the things don't go quite the way you want, or whatever, or you're having to do all this extra work and all. If you're not passionate about it, you just won't do it. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So well, you're very good at what you do.
Thank you.
And I don't buy this air conditioning system every day.
Sure. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. Yeah, but when you do, if you're going to make an investment like that, then I would suggest that you consider Air Specialty. They did a marvelous job for me, and but they obviously, with 30-some years in business, when most businesses don't survive 5, you're doing a lot of things right.
We're trying hard.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I wish you a great deal of success.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. And that concludes this segment.